That kind of fighter, I'm going to be putting pressure on you even when you're not punching. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with it.
Look at it, he's lost to guys who are smaller than him. I think it's his, it's his weakness. It's his kryptonite is the faster guys who don't get hit by as big punches.
What is it about this version of Joshua that you feel you can exploit? And what's going to interest you the most about this version of Joshua?
I mean, he's an amazing fighter, one of the best heavyweights ever. I just think with speed and footwork and being in a rhythm, I don't think he can handle that. He doesn't like that because he is a little bit stiff. He does rely on his power. Obviously, you get hit by one of his shots, you're cooked, but I believe...
This is all guys supporting evidence. Once again, this is TVB. I look at this shit like a BTC.
Anthony Joshua's heated Instagram Live with Jake Paul ignited the boxing world. Not because of trash talk, but because of the tone AJ carried throughout the entire exchange. Joshua spoke like a man who didn't just believe he would win. He spoke like someone who already knew the ending. Every word carried the weight of a seasoned, dominant champion addressing an opponent who didn't belong in the same league. Jake Paul looked wildly out of his depth, not because he stayed quiet, but because Joshua's confidence created a gap too large for bravado to fill. AJ sounded like a fighter preparing not simply to beat someone, but to outclass, outthink, and utterly overwhelm his opponent from the opening second.
Land heavy punches, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to expose him to certain tricks in boxing that he may not have seen yet, and I'm going to bring him to another school of boxing that I don't think he's been exposed to.
Joshua's words landed with the force of a knockout blow. There was no mystery in his tone, no hint of hesitation. He made it clear this wouldn't be a close fight or even a competitive one. It would be decisive. It would be authoritative. It would be one-sided. "Is it a win for you if you just beat him?" someone asked. "Or do you need to knock him out?" Joshua didn't blink. "I need to knock him out." That single sentence summarized the entire dynamic.
Is it a win for you if you just beat him, or do you need to knock him out?
I need to knock him out.
Jake Paul talks, promotes, and sells fights better than nearly anyone in modern boxing. But Anthony Joshua doesn't operate on the same wavelength. Paul's confidence is marketing. Joshua's confidence is forged through years of facing the most dangerous heavyweights on the planet. Paul's so-called sneaky shots, body work, and awkward angles are tiny moves in a chess match he barely understands. Joshua's composure, precision, and power make it obvious that any of Paul's tactics will likely be smothered before they have time to develop.
Sneaky knockout punches coming. Lots of great work to the body. People underestimate
Eddie Hearn, who has seen Joshua up close since his early career, cut through Paul's hype instantly. Hearn didn't sugarcoat or soften his assessment. He painted the matchup as almost completely one-sided. Jake Paul's confidence colliding with the brutal reality of Joshua's size, experience, and destructive ability. To Hearn, this isn't a fair fight. It's a storm, and Jake Paul is walking directly into the eye of it.
I think he's got absolutely no chance. I think he's going to get smashed to pieces.
Frank Warren echoed the same sentiment with the insight of a seasoned promoter who has spent decades studying elite fighters. He broke down the difference between Joshua and Paul in simple terms: achievements, pedigree, ring IQ, and natural heavyweight size. Joshua has it all. Paul has none of it. This fight, Warren explained, isn't a typical heavyweight showdown. It's a masterclass in why true experience, elite technique, and championship pedigree always eclipse raw ambition. Jake Paul is climbing a mountain so steep, it might as well be vertical.
AJ's a big favourite, for obvious reasons. I mean, I've just said double world champion, Olympian, Olympic gold medalist. He's a natural heavyweight. He's fighting somebody who at the end of the day has had 12 fights, no amateur fights that I'm aware of, and he's a cruiserweight. He's come up to cruiserweight. So it's
Dave Allen added another layer of perspective, one that highlights the physical impossibility of what Paul is attempting. It's not just that Joshua is bigger, it's that he's naturally big. A true heavyweight whose strength, frame, and power have been built and refined over a lifetime. This isn't a 5-pound difference, or even 10. It's a gulf in natural mass and force that dictates every second of a fight at this level. Paul simply cannot match Joshua's physical presence, and in heavyweight boxing, every pound alters the danger level.
Dangerous in the sense of for the health of Jake, would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a sport that we love, and I think we need to protect that. And you know, he's one of the most dangerous guys in the world to go step in a ring with. Like, you saw that with Ngannou, who was a seasoned, you know, one of the most durable men on the planet in one of the toughest sports in combat.
Duke McKenzie pointed to an overlooked but important factor. Joshua has recently tapped into Alexander Usyk's camp, one of the most technically gifted setups in modern boxing. If Joshua sharpens even slightly under that influence, the challenge becomes nearly insurmountable for Jake Paul. What fans might see as a spectacle could quickly become a one-sided technical demolition.
Training with the Usyk camp now?
Yeah, he's been training with the Usyk camp.
If he's training with the Usyk camp and there's a marked improvement on his performance, he can quite easily clean up again.
Listen,
Carl Froch took it further, highlighting Joshua's complete and unshakable confidence. Froch framed the fight as business, entertainment, and pure domination. For Joshua, this isn't a risky matchup. It's routine. He sees the fight as a simple opportunity to assert authority, while making a global statement about levels in boxing. For Jake Paul, however, this is far more than business. It's a high-risk experiment against a methodical, cold, seasoned powerhouse.
Said Jake or anyone can get this work, no mercy. I took some time out. I'm coming back with a mega show. Big opportunity for me, whether you like it or not. I'm here to do massive numbers, have big fights and break every record whilst keeping cool, calm and collected. So chilling it. I mean, come on, he's jumping in with fake Paul, who has no experience, no fights and no world ranking at heavyweight. Easy work.
Ben Davison delivered one of the most sobering takes. He explained that Jake Paul may entertain and he may sell seats. But inside the ropes, boxing is not a game. It is raw, unforgiving combat. Every mistake is paid for with real consequences. Davison warned that Paul, regardless of social media fame, represents danger to himself when he steps in with fighters far beyond his experience. Against Joshua, whose power, timing, and cold efficiency rise dramatically under pressure, those dangers multiply.
God help Jake Paul, that's all I can say. We saw that what Anthony Joshua had done to Francis Ngannou. He went out there and iced him in a couple of rounds. A guy coming from a different discipline. Well, this kid's coming from another level. You know, white-collar boxing in 2018, gone through the mill, and the only boxer really that he's actually boxed, a legitimate boxer he got beat by, and that was in Tommy.
Spencer Oliver underscored this reality by reminding fans that Joshua has repeatedly dismantled athletes who crossed over from other sports. In many cases, it took only a few rounds for massive skill gaps to become painfully obvious. Jake Paul, with limited experience and losses to more legitimate boxers, enters this fight with glaring weaknesses. Oliver made it clear, Jake Paul's confidence is fragile. Joshua's execution is clinical. This fight isn't about hype or social media. It's about survival.
I told Anthony, I already messaged Anthony as I listen. I tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's gonna be having a go at you because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. It has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, you know, people are gonna be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in 1.
Derek Chisora delivered the bluntest analysis of them all. He insisted that the fight cannot drag out. If Paul stays in the ring for too long, the danger escalates with every passing second. Chisora compared the matchup to Joshua's fight with Francis Ngannou, a showcase of speed, precision, and destructive finishing ability. If Joshua approaches Paul the same way, Chisora believes there is almost no possible scenario where Paul avoids severe punishment.
Absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here in the UK. Would he win a British title? No, I don't think so. So now they're putting this domestic level fight in with a former heavyweight 2-time champion of the world. The weight is 245. So I think the last time Anthony Joshua weighed around that was when
Johnny Nelson, never one to hold back, emphasized the colossal mismatch between the two fighters. He described Jake Paul as, at best, a domestic-level competitor, someone who has yet to prove anything beyond generating clicks. The idea of putting him in the ring with Anthony Joshua, a 2-time heavyweight champion with Olympic gold and a long resume of elite victories, borders on surreal. With Joshua weighing around 245 pounds and possessing elite reach and power, the physical mismatch becomes overwhelming. Add the skill difference, and Nelson sees the fight not as a competition, but as a survival challenge.
Paul is going to win this fight by knockout. You would think I'm absolutely crazy, right? But the thing is, it can happen. 10-ounce gloves, heavyweight, Jake Paul can punch hard. But do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not, mate. Anthony Joshua is an absolute beast, an unbelievable, highly skilled, highly trained, highly experienced professional boxer with power in both hands, and he's really good.
Tony Jeffries offered a more balanced perspective, acknowledging that upsets do happen in boxing. Paul's power, especially with 10-ounce gloves, cannot be completely dismissed. Yet even with that sliver of a possibility, Jeffries made it clear that the odds are brutally stacked against Paul. Joshua's combination of size, speed, accuracy, and world-level experience gives him every conceivable advantage. For Paul to land a fight-ending punch, everything would need to align perfectly. For Joshua, ending the fight is simply a matter of timing and opportunity.
Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. You know, he's multiple-time champion, Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? The last time somebody stepped in the ring with him that didn't have that much boxing experience was Ngannou, and you've seen what happened to him.
David Benavidez then weighed in with perhaps the most devastating comparison. He drew parallels to Joshua's dismantling of Francis Ngannou, noting how efficiently Joshua destroys inexperienced opponents. Paul, despite fame and fan base, lacks the technical depth and ring seasoning that fighters at this level require. Benavidez stressed that boxing is ultimately about mastery. Joshua has it, Paul does not. This matchup becomes a study in contrast, a world-class technician against a fighter still learning foundational skills. Duke McKenzie closed the analysis by highlighting the physical and experiential mismatch. Joshua isn't just a big man, he's a trained heavyweight with decades of conditioning. Jake Paul, much smaller and far less experienced, is stepping into a realm he isn't prepared for. The danger is not theoretical, it's immediate and severe.
Who's 18 stone plus against a much smaller guy who really, he's not, you know, he hasn't earned the right, I don't believe, to fight Anthony Joshua. It's not like he's beaten, 4 or 5, top line heavyweights, other heavyweight.
As the breakdown reaches its conclusion, one truth rises above all commentary. Anthony Joshua's mix of experience, technique, discipline, and raw power makes him an almost unbeatable force against someone like Jake Paul. The analysts Nelson, Jeffries, McKenzie, Benavidez, and others agree on one thing. Jake Paul may bring confidence, but boxing at the elite level is ruled by skill, timing, intelligence, and proven execution. Joshua dominates all of those categories. This isn't just a fight, it's a reality check. And the only real question is not if Joshua wins, but how violently and how quickly he plans to finish it. Comment your thoughts below. Does Jake Paul have any real shot? Or is this another undeniable showcase of Anthony Joshua's dominance? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an Inside the Ring breakdown.